For the longest time, I kind of put off watching the Harry Potter movie series because when I was younger, everyone else seems to be enthralled with it, and I kind of passed it up. I was a big Transformers fan, I just got into Star Wars, my interest in Star Trek was just around the corner, but I did everything I possibly could to avoid the series. I even read the first chapter of J.K. Rowling's first book and didn't even finish the rest of it. Of course, it wasn't until The Lord of the Rings where I even remotely considered diving into the fantasy genre. Of course, there were other movie series of interest like Mission Impossible, James Bond, DC and Marvel, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, John Wick, The Matrix, Rambo, Die Hard, we get the point, and of course, now we have Dune. I actively avoided having anything to do with Harry Potter. Up until now. Well, folks, I finally did it. I finally watched all the Harry Potter movies for the first time. All of them from Sorcerer's Stone up until Deathly Hallows Part 2. I am now caught up on what I apparently had missed for a decade or two now. What everybody else was witnessing and experiencing, I decided to pass up on until eventually I put in the Sorcerer's Stone tape. And I kind of have a story for why it is, why I decided to wait until now to start watching Harry Potter. For one, I think it was last summer, my Graham gave me a stack of VHS tapes that she wasn't using anymore. And what was it? Yeah, Chamber of Secrets happened to be one of the movies in here, happened to be included in the pile she gave me. And while I was going to sell it, I happened to stumble upon the first movie, Sorcerer's Stone, although I guess they call it Philosopher's Stone or something over in the UK or whatever. Happened to find Sorcerer's Stone right here, antiquing, and I figured, well, with both movies now, I figured I could just try, watching the series or starting it anyway, and see what I think. That and Harry Potter was when I was in film school. Used as film examples multiple times. Whether we were just sitting in a classroom learning about stuff like cinematography, or whether we were in the production class learning staging and special effects, whatnot. I think there was a scene from the second one with shit. I already forgot the Ghost Girl's character, like her name. But we sort of did something like that where we had somebody in front of a green screen and then we had the cameras, act like they were moving down as she did. So there's a little bit of Harry Potter exposure in school. Of course, people tell me for the past several years how much I've been missing, how much I need to get into apparently watching the Harry Potter films. So I figured with these two tapes, why not give it a go? And if I don't like it, I just won't finish it beyond these one or two movies. So I think it was about the middle of January when I put the first movie in, and needless to say, I was more impressed than what I thought I would be. Sorcerer's Stone kind of reminded me of a children's adventure story from the 80s or 90s, which made kind of sense considering Chris Columbus was in the director's chair for the first two movies. And he was a director from the 80s and 90s, so there was that kind of feel to it. So I feel like that made sense as far as, putting somebody in the director's chair to start it out, because the first one really did feel like a children's adventure story. And I liked it enough, I decided to push forward to the second movie. While I didn't like it as much as the first one, I decided I would still keep going forward with the series. For both of these, the CGI did look a bit dated for both movies, but considering the series was just starting out, and its success at the time was not at its peak as what it would be later, I'm sure that could be easily forgiven. I also did not realize that Dumbledore was played by two different actors going into the series. I guess Richard Harris, the original actor, died after the first several and then had to be recast, which I didn't know. So the rest of the series, I sort of had to stream between Max and Hulu. They had a few. I could have asked somebody for for their DVD or Blu-ray set, but I didn't know any friends that actually had these physically on disc. I try not to stream if I don't have to. I will try any way I can not to stream a movie if I could find it physically, from a friend or borrowing elsewhere from family. But I figured in this case, all right, whatever, I guess. But anyway, the next one, Prisoner of Azkaban, it seems to be a favorite for a lot of people, and I can kind of see why. It's the strongest, and I think concerning the overall tone, it's very consistent throughout the entire movie. It starts to feel a little more mature, and that maturity carries on for the rest of the series, which makes sense because we do follow the characters as they continue to grow older through I think there's 7 or maybe it's 8 years of school, and it also has the most cinematically filmic, I guess, cinematography of the entire run. Has a couple of long shots, pan and whip around one location for an entire minute. So it really takes advantage of the camera for this movie anyway. Azkaban also included what I thought was among some of the most interesting uses of time travel I've seen in a movie or TV show, which is kind of interesting considering I thought, for a story like this, for the genre like this, time travel would seem almost off putting and out of place. But it made it work in such an interesting way. Like, the characters go back in time, but they are kind of already there to begin with. It's really. I shouldn't even call it a time loop. It's just. It's so odd, but also interesting the way time travel is utilized in Prisoner of Azkaban, but I thought it was put together sort of interestingly. And I would have thought that they would have brought back this device for Deathly Hallows 1 or 2. It seemed like something that would be set up and made extremely important for later, but then it wasn't, so I suppose it wasn't that important. In a way, I kind of don't like that it was just a, one movie off kind of gimmick, but whatever. I mean, if I wrote this story and I considered the ending that was to come, I would have used this timeline gimmick as a way for the heroes to complete their task. But I guess I'm not J.K. Rowling, it seems. Perhaps she had a way of doing what she wanted to do. The Goblet of Fire of the 8 films is still, I would say, light entertainment for me, but it's probably my least favorite of the 8. It's not bad, and it introduces some interesting, I would say, world building, acknowledging that there are other schools of magic, making the film about, I guess these special magic Olympic Games, if you want to call it that, between 3 schools. To a point, and then Voldemort makes his first main appearance in the series, but it's sort of short lived. In the movie, he doesn't arrive until like the very end, and then all of a sudden, boom! Voldemort's in the movie. But yeah. One thing that is odd to me, considering all these other schools, they introduced that there are other wizarding schools, but then I don't seem to recall that they were ever invited together to fight against Voldemort in the Deathly Hallows, which you'd think you'd want to combine all the schools for one powerful force to fight against the ultimate evil, but I guess not. Then there's Order of the Phoenix, which I liked, except for Umbridge. I can't freaking stand Umbridge. I know that's the point of her character to be extremely likable. But man, they did way too much of a good job with the unlikability factor with Umbridge. But yeah, other than Umbridge, I like the rest of the film, by the way. Then there was a little bit of a gap when I was watching these films. I kind of got a little busy at the beginning of February, and then eventually I did get to Half Blood Prince, which I guess is kind of middle tier as far as uh, favorite films for me are concerned. I don't rank it among the greatest. I don't put it on the bottom either. It's sort of this middle ground. Also, wasn't expecting Dumbledore to die in this film. I would have thought they were saving that for, again, Deathly Hallows, but of course, that's what's nice about a surprise like that, since I never read the books, really. I tried to stay off the internet the best I could to avoid spoilers, and definitely made sure to tell people who did watch these films long before I did to basically shut up so I didn't get any spoilers ahead of time. This is also the film where Leland Severus Snape is revealed to be in league with Voldemort and his followers. Obviously, the next movies would reveal that he was a double agent working for Dumbledore to learn Voldemort's secrets. But at the time of watching Half Blood Prince, I'm sure it was definitely, what the heck kind of moment, unless you read the book already. Then, of course, there is Deathly Hallows itself, which I guess was one book split into two. I do remember kids reading it. It was a very, very large book. So I guess it makes sense to split it into two parts. That's something I wish they did with the Hobbit trilogy, but of course, no genius at Warner Brothers figured that out. These were released years before Infinity War and Endgame, but I guess that these two could probably be considered the Infinity War and Endgame event of their time. It certainly felt that way with the second movie, anyway. Also, understand that people do tend to criticize these two movies for feeling a little bit too, I guess, video gamey. Anyway, in terms of the quest to go find the MacGuffins or whatever in the plot, which I kind of understand. It did feel a little bit video gamey in that sense, at least with these two movies. But it all finally does pay off in the very end, which is something I can't say for most Hollywood flicks these days. Heck, it even gave Neville, of all characters, a kid who's a bumbling idiot, made to be bumbling in nature, gave him a chance to help defeat Voldemort in the end by helping to destroy the last Horcrux, which is something I was very surprised by, but did very much appreciate a lot. I would have thought that there would have been like a surprise arc for Draco Malfoy, where maybe he decided to turn good for a change and help Harry Potter defeat the bad guys. He has a change of heart, especially because of his insecurities. But I guess that didn't happen. He still sided with Voldemort anyway. But yeah, these movies were a decade long journey that paid off very well at the end. And especially the little stinger at the end where Harry Potter sends his own son, Albus Severus Potter, off to school. It kind of gives you the feeling of, oh, that's sweet, but now I kind of want to go back and rewatch Sorcerer's Stone and start all over again. So that was kind of nice. I also watched a reunion documentary that was made about a decade after Deathly Hallows 2 was released with the returning cast members, and that was a pretty nicely made documentary. I also watched the Fantastic Beasts movie, which I guess are supposed to be prequels, but they felt, I'd say, less than desirable compared to the Harry Potter movies. There was just something about them that seemed lacking almost. I mean, the first one started out okay anyway, but definitely the last two Fantastic Beasts movies, they just kind of sucked. I'm not gonna lie, they just kind of sucked. Harry Potter had memorable characters, a satisfying ride along the way, but this Fantastic Beasts trilogy really didn't have any of that. There are no real memorable characters at all. Everybody's going to remember, Harry and Hermione and Hagrid and Ron and Dumbledore and Severus Snape, right? But no one's going to remember Newt Scamander and Grindelwald and whoever Murray's brother from the Goldberg show, like whatever his name was, right? I already forgot that. I just watched Secrets of Dumbledore and yesterday. I don't know. Perhaps it was meant to be forgettable and churned out by the studio. I don't know. Maybe it was just destined that way. I also feel like Grindelwald just failed to be the villain that Voldemort was. In the Harry Potter movies, we didn't need to be told that Voldemort was the big bad guy. We just knew instinctively that was the case and the threat that he imposed on the wizarding world. However, Fantastic Beasts goes out of its way to tell us why Grindelwald is bad, because we as the audience aren't going to believe them otherwise, because I guess we need some explanation to root against this guy and his agenda or something. Something anti-Muggle or bloodline or whatever the crap he was doing. Um, but yeah, I am very likely to rewatch the Harry Potter movies. I can't say the same, unfortunately, for Fantastic Beasts because it's just kind of forgettable, unfortunately. Overall, I ended up being way more impressed with the Wizarding World movies, especially Harry Potter, when I thought I would. Honestly, not sure why I refused watching these all these years ago. But now I can say, now that I'm caught up with everybody else, I'm somewhat impressed. Honestly, when it comes to fantasy, would I still rather watch something like Lord of the Rings? Yes. I think it's better made. I have more of an attachment to it. I've been a fan of the Lord of the Rings for I think 9 or 10 years now. It's going to be almost a decade by now. But I'd still rather watch Lord of the Rings. But I'd say Harry Potter probably makes a close-ish second. I didn't watch any of the Narnia stuff, so I can't really make a comparison to Narnia. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to also go back and read all of those books. Apparently, that I'm told. Apparently, there's a lot of stuff that the movies, especially the second half of the movies, left out. I guess there was a lot that didn't get put into movie form. So I'm gonna have to make a compare and contrast there and read the books. Oh yeah, apparently I also found out that the Potter series is getting rebooted into a TV show or something for the modern audience or whatever that means. So I guess that means for us normal folks that we're gonna go and skip it because I think we all know where this is going. Since entertainment now is just it's just so bad. Otherwise, that's all I have for today. So thank you for tuning into the 20th Century Dude channel, and I hope you're happy with me. I finally got to watch the Harry Potter movies. I finally did it, folks. 23 years of existence, and I finally watched Harry Potter. I was not disappointed like I thought I would be. This is why you go into things with an open mind. But anyway, thank you for tuning into my channel today. Keep up for more videos along the way, and hope to catch you later. See ya.